Myself have two questions, but I would like to ask you at the end. Now, without further ado, I would like to ask Dr. Reza Arab to give a presentation in Iran Novin Party status and role in transitional justice in Iran from a strategic, social, and cultural perspective. Dr. Arab, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much and good evening. Thank you. I have a short talk and then I would like to have the chance to be able to answer to your questions. So thank you for this invite. Thank you, Global Peace Association and Professor Hasegawa, and thank you, Dr. Sopai, for organizing and your introduction. It is a privilege to be here with you to talk about transition in Iran, transitional justice, and the role of various players, including the Iran Novin Party that I am a member of. I should also thank Furugh for an excellent talk on the topic and the overview of where we are in our fight for, in protesters' voice, taking back our country. It is with a great pleasure for me to speak to you in Japan. Both Iran and Japan have ancient civilizations with rich histories. Both countries place significant emphasis on their cultural traditions, institutions, and heritage. I have no doubt that a free Iran will be a very good friend to Japan as two ancient civilizations in East and West Asia. On the main topic of our meeting, I would like to begin by saying that from a historical point of view, I consider a continuity in our striving for freedom from the Iranian constitutional revolution in 1905 to today's fight to free Iran from the malignant theocracy ruling the country. Iranians have aspired to have a national government representing the Iranian sense of pride and the will of the people through our long-standing indigenous institutions that are abided by the very modern principle of the rule of law. The building blocks of the Islamic Revolution in 1979 and the Islamic Republic that has been in power ever since were their ideological stance against the very concept of Iran, against the rule of law, against liberalism, and against the international rule-based order. This is among many other reasons why people chant in the streets that they want to take back their own country. The new wave of this national revolution began at least 6 years ago. And the latest round of protests just last year, following the murder of Mahsa Amini by the regime, which caught the international eye. Tomorrow is its first anniversary, September 16th. Sooner rather than later, Iranian women and men will take back their country from the illegitimate regime that is the source of excruciating pain inside the country and inherent instability abroad. During the past year, we have seen a regime in existential crisis faced with widespread protests across the country, with ebbs and flows recently. The reason for the regime to be able to cling to power to this date is twofold. It has been studied historically that when streets, especially in capital city, are occupied by protesters, dictators such as Iran's Ayatollah do not fall without either at least ranks of the military joining the revolution or such groups standing neutral. The other reason is the lack of determined support for the people of Iran by the international players. For us to succeed in our revolution to free Iran, we will need our leadership, the leadership of the revolution, to be able to establish a dialogue with both fronts, domestic and international, to secure a healthy transition to stability and the rule of law. as a precursor to what the people of Iran will vote for in a free election. One front is a dialogue with the international powers, liberal democratic states, and our neighbors to not only ask for maximum support when needed, but for us to be able to share our vision for the future and what guarantees are there that a free Iran will be a free country for all Iranians, where Iranians decide the form of their government. And also, the leadership of the revolution should be able to give a clear vision of how Iran will rejoin the international community as a constructive member. What happens to the nuclear ambitions of this regime, and what our plans are to address the international concerns others might have over wide-ranging issues such as energy, human mobility, transitional justice, and justice for thousands of victims of the Islamic regime. The other front is that there must be a dialogue between the leadership of the revolution and some elements within the military and security forces who share the Iranian patriotic sentiment to save Iran and to take back the country from the thugs the thugs within the Islamic kleptocracy. Such a dialogue can create and foster a context in which there can be some clear guarantees that the transitional justice, including but not limited to the prosecution of the main figures of the Islamic regime, from the Supreme Leader himself to commanders of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, fact-finding missions supported by the international community into the crimes and corruption of the Islamic regime, designing transparent avenues for victims to seek justice, and also with the help of the international community in the form of sanction reliefs and foreign investment, we can provide economic stability for all citizens and residents of Iran to get by during the transition to a national government elected by the people. The leadership of the revolution, as shown in the data in Foroug's presentation, can be and has been realized in the exiled Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, in my opinion, for at least two reasons. First, the trust and respect Iranians have for the institution of monarchy, the Shah. This is not only realized in survey data, but it is an important aspect of Iranian culture, politics, and language. The second reason is his personality and candor, his long-standing commitment to the idea of secular democracy and freedom in Iran. He has played the role of the heir and head of the institution of monarchy for years, and especially in recent years when he was called on by Iranians in the streets. All things considered, from a strategic, social, and cultural perspectives, the institution of monarchy can play the existentially important leading role in our transition from this organized crime and corruption to a stable democracy. The trust in Mr. Pahlavi as the leader of this revolution seems to be growing. This trust should be the basis for a transitory and temporary government to safeguard the process of transition and transitional justice, as well as establish the national government for Iran based on the will of the people. Mr. Pahlavi has been active in laying the ground for that. He has been meeting with political and business leaders around the world, working with all Iranian figures and organizations who believe in Iran's national integrity, democracy, and human rights. He has endorsed several initiatives to plan for the transitional period. One major initiative is the Phoenix Project of Iran that is publishing comprehensive and research-based plans for the first 100 days after the fall of the Islamic regime. Political organizations whose mission is to help establish the rule of law and democracy in Iran should come together and plan for the transitional scenarios so that as the constitutional process is forming the coalition of the national government, we can be able to guarantee the safety and security of Iranians and mitigate and control the risks along the way. In this context, the Iran Novin Party have no doubt that the brutal regime in Iran is collapsing, and soon the last repressive tactics will fail. The Iran Novin Party has a strategic view on how to work with all players to safeguard a healthy transition to a national coalition and a secular democracy. We believe that the exiled crown prince is best situated to lead the revolution, not only due to the trust in the institutional monarchy to play the role of the guardian of the rule of law and the symbol of the national identity and pride, but also on the account of his popular base and proven track record. The Iran Novin Party is an Iranian liberal political party that is creating a platform for liberal democratic citizens inside and outside Iran. We have learned from the past that without a political organization in the form of a political party, the agency of people for change would not be translated into the political arena. As a political party, we are planning not only for the transitional period, but we are putting forth an agenda and evidence-based solutions for how we can rebuild Iran after the constitutional transition. Political organizations such as the Iran Novin Party can create a coalition under the leadership of the Crown Prince to expand upon a clear vision for the transitional period, not only for the Iranians inside the country, but for the world that is observing the situation carefully. Learning from the lessons of the previous transitions in West Asia, we believe in the centrality of Iranians themselves and their political organizations. For our esteemed international audience, we encourage them, their experts, their think tanks, their political organizations, and concerned liberal states to establish a working relationship with Iranian political organizations or Mr. Pahlavi himself to see where support can be offered to the Iranian people in their brave fight for freedom. The situation is changing constantly, and we believe that Iranians will soon succeed in their endeavors for freedom and democracy. As Mr. Pahlavi recently addressed the US administration, the people of Iran will not forget those who turned their backs on them in their most difficult days, and instead stood by their killers. In conclusion, we believe that brighter days for Iranians are not far from today. We are doing everything we can for that to happen and for us to be ready. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm here to answer any questions that you might have.